My body is tired. My body is tired. Tired of heartaches. My body is tired. My soul is ready. Still, let me lean on you. Oh, you. Let me lean on 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 you. Y'all listen here, right here. Oh, I'm leaning on you. I'm leaning on you. Can't make it without you. I'm leaning on you. Oh, I'm leaning. Lord, I'm leaning on you, Lord. Anybody here leaning on Jesus? Is there anybody here that's leaning on Jesus? Or when you get sick, lean on Jesus. When your soul gets to heaven, you just lean on Jesus. Oh, I'm leaning. Y'all come on in here. I'm leaning on you. I can't make it without you. I'm leaning on you. Oh, he won't let you fall. Lord, he won't let you fall. Lord, he won't let you fall. He won't let you fall. He won't let you fall. If you trust in Jesus, he won't let you fall. He won't let you fall. He won't let you fall. If you lean on Jesus, he won't let you fall. He won't let you fall. He won't let you fall. Don't make a difference. He won't let you fall. Don't make a difference. He won't let you fall. What problem it is, he won't let you fall. Don't make a difference. He won't let you fall. How heavy the load, he won't let you fall. If you trust in Jesus, he won't let you fall. 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 Y'all listen here, listen. Lean on Jesus. Lean on Jesus. When you're not strong and you need a friend, lean on Jesus. Lean on Jesus. When you're not strong, you need a friend. Lean on Jesus. Lean on Jesus. When you get sick and you get well, lean on Jesus. Lean on Jesus. When you get weak, when you get weak, when you get weak, God will give you strength. Anybody leaning on Jesus? Anybody leaning on Jesus? Are you leaning on Jesus? I'm leaning. Are you leaning on Jesus? When trouble gets you down, you got to lean on Jesus. You got to lean on Jesus. Yes, when problems come in your life, yes, you just don't know what to do. You got to lean on Jesus. You got to lean on Jesus. Sometimes problems get hard, yes, sir, and you don't know what to do. Yes, sir. You got to lean.
Connecting the community. The new 1.9 FM, W360E, Nation, WD 1088, Harry, Nation.
Expressed on this program are not necessarily the views, Glory, and opinion of Glory Media, LLC, WDD, management, or applications, but are the views and participants of the broadcast.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome once again to Ask Elaine. We're just so pleased that you've chosen to spend this hour with us on a Wednesday from 3 to 4. And we hope that some of the information that we share with you, or all of it, will be beneficial, will open your eyes to some things that are going on, and then also encourage you to get involved and do something to change things, not just sit and fuss about it. I want to greet you on behalf of our sponsors, the main ones or Sheriff David Davis, Senator David Lucas, former Mayor C. Jack Ellis, and Black Voters Matter. And for a long, long time, we're going to be talking about your voting rights, how they're being taken away from you. We've got a special guest today who's going to share with us all things voting. We're going to talk about the new voter suppression law, is what I call it, because that's what it is. We're also going to talk about some changes that we're going through, and hopefully, these things will not be present in our voting system for too long if the Congress takes the action that they should take. But just in case, we want you to know. And by tuning in to Ask Elaine today, after you finish the program, you will know. Thank you, those of you who are listening on 980 AM, those who are listening on 107.9 FM, those who are on Facebook Live, those who are on Instagram, and all of the other grams. We want to welcome you and thank you so much for being there. Please press share to let others know, remind others that the show is on and that it's time for some learning. It's time for us to learn, and also time for us to get energized to do something about. Our very special guest today is none other than the winner of the Earl Shinholster Service Award for this year from the NAACP, Miss Maria Bryant. She is our special guest, and she's going to share with us. We're going to have a good discussion about voting, how the voting laws will impact you. And elections are going to be held again next year. We've got some runoffs, of course, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But we did not have but one issue on our ballot the other week, but people have a tendency to go home and lay down and go to sleep, and then they don't get excited or aware of what's going on around them until it's time for the next election. Correct. Well, we don't have time to wait for that. But before we go to that part of our program, Senator David Lucas yesterday addressed his colleagues in the Senate, and he said, "I want some collard greens. You want to bring me rutabagas." I can't stand rutabagas, and he can't either. But what he had reference to was that his claims that Republicans drew the district unfairly, drew his district unfairly. And we're going to talk a little bit about redistricting, what it's all about, and why you should be concerned about that. Before we do that, we want to express our sympathy to the families of those who have lost loved ones, those who have loved ones who are very ill, and we are praying for a speedy recovery, and we're praying for comfort for those families who have lost those near and dear to them. Before we go to voting, we want to call on our engineers if they would go to the story that features Senator David E. Lucas Sr., who's represented us either in the state legislature, the House, or the Senate for the last 45 years. Is a wealth of experience. And so if you'll give your attention now to Senator Lucas, he's talking about redistricting and what's being done wrong to Black folks and Democrats in the state of Georgia by the Republicans. Listen.
own newly drawn out districts. They voted 34 to 21 down party lines. Tuesday marked day 5 of the special legislative session for the once in a decade redistricting process. The idea is to make districts roughly the same size based on population after the 2020 census. The party that controls the General Assembly gets to redraw the district to keep control. Right now, that's the Republican Party, but several Democrats voted against the map, including Senator David Lucas. Our Ashton Webb explains the changes his district may see and why he thinks that it's unfair.
The chair recognizes the senator from the 26th.
State Senator David Lucas took the Senate floor Tuesday, calling out Republicans, saying they unfairly redrew the area he represents.
Listen, reapportionment is about sausage making. Another part is about the vegetable man. I want some collard greens, some corn, and some Vidalia onions, and you want to bring me rutabagas and watermelons.
Senator Lucas claims the Republican majority is drawing black voters out of his district, while white voters are being pushed in.
When I look at my district, I look at one of the largest black precincts taken out of my district. One right next to my home precinct. But yet I need 29,000 people.
Legislators have to expand Lucas's Senate district because it lost the second most amount of people compared to other Senate districts. Now the district needs to pick up 29,000 people to meet the 191,284 needed for each state Senate district. The Senate approved the new map Tuesday. It moves Lucas's district out of Jones County and part of Bibb and covers Johnson County. That county historically sways Republican and has a white majority.
We've got a problem.
University of Georgia political science professor Charles Bullock says the new drawing of Lucas's district hasn't changed much from what it is now based on demographics.
His district is really much the same, both in terms of its total black population and its voting age population is black. So right around 57% total black population, and of those who are 18 years and older, it's 55% black. So he still has a majority black district, it looks like.
If so, that means the new drawing doesn't violate Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which deals with keeping fair demographic proportions. Based on the new maps, minorities are still the majority in Lucas's district. However, Lucas maintains the drawings are unfair.
We're going to be in court about it.
Reporting in Macon, Ashlyn Webb, 13 WMAZ News.
The newly drawn Georgia Senate maps go to a final vote in the state House today. So what is redistricting? We're taking
All right. We want to thank you. Thank our engineers. They can just find what you need. And that was just Senator talking about the collard greens and the rutabagas and all of that. But you get the point. You get the point that things are not working in our favor, and Republicans are doing all they can to create districts that will help folks to get rid of black elected officials and get rid of Democratic elected officials. And that's what the senator was talking about when he was talking about the collard greens and the rutabagas and the sausage making and all of that. We hope to have him on the show. Hopefully he will get a break from the session and will be able to be a guest on this show next week and talk a little bit more about the redistricting. And we also hope to have someone who is on the ground here in Macon-Bibb County who is going to help with getting people to say that they will be plaintiffs. That is, folks who will sign on to the lawsuit against the gerrymandering, where they draw all kinds of odd shapes and put everybody all over the place, to make sure that Republicans maintain the majority in these different districts. And so it's like people peeing on you and telling you it's raining. They're saying, oh, this is just, there's no difference. It's going to be majority black. But if you pull in all of these Republicans and you cut out black precincts that have historically voted with the other portions of that district, you are gerrymandering and you're breaking the law. So I don't care what the professor says, he's wrong. He's not in these districts. He's just speaking something of which he does not know. So we just discount that. But let's go back to our special guest, Miss Maria Bryant. I'm thinking Maria Wynn, who this lady and her family, they've gone through an awful lot. She lost her son some months ago to COVID.
Okay.
And then she lost her brother, Herbert Wynn. Everybody
Right.
knows Herbert as a very fine and successful real estate
Right.
agent. So the family buried him last week, and so that was what who was on my mind. But we want to express our condolences to that family and all those families who have lost loved ones. Y'all go get your shots, please. I'm getting ready to go get my booster.
Boosters.
And I am going to get it. I don't care who else doesn't get theirs, but just I'm going to wear my mask when you're around me, and I want you to wear your mask too. Maria Bryant posts all the time. Love everybody, but wear your mask. That's your way of showing love. Welcome to the show, Maria. We
Thank
are
you.
just so happy that we've been able to get you to have some time to come on the show. Maria has been involved with not only the NAACP, but a lot of other organizations, and she is just a tireless worker. And so we were just very pleased to see that you were the winner of the Earl
Thank
Shinholster
you. Thank you.
Award, which is the highest honor that the NAACP bestows upon its members or those who have done significant things in the community. And we know Earl Shinholster was just a trooper. He was a warrior. And any award, anyone who wins an award with his namesake, we know that that person is truly worthy of it.
I was very honored.
Uh-huh.
Very honored to win that award.
Well, everybody just said, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We do have some people who are on with us. Carol Spain is back with us today. T. LeVar Taylor is with us from Conyers, Georgia. Thank you so much. And then we have our usual crew, and we should be hearing from them soon. But go ahead and press share so that you'll remind those folks who usually tune in to the program that they're about to miss some great information. So please hit share and, or call up some folks and let them know that we're on. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you once again to the program. And thank you so much for being there. Maria, we've had the law. It's State Senate Resolution 202.
202.
And to me, that just burns me up that something like this would be passed,
Right.
which tell us what the intent of that is, and then tell us a little bit about the law and what it will do to voting.
Well, what they've changed the law.
If you'll move your mic
Can
close or move
Can you hear
closer
me?
to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What they've done is they've really changed the laws. And what happened was we got out and voted in the 2020 election, and it just disturbed everybody because what we were doing, we were encouraging our people, let's get out and vote. And we did what we were supposed to do. Now it's like we're getting slapped on the hand because we got out and we elected some folks to office and they don't like it.
Right.
So they went in and changed all of the rules. And what they don't realize is, even though they changed the rules, we're not going to back down.
Right.
We're going to continue.
We're quick learners.
And since you all changed the rules, guess what?
Uh-huh.
We are going to continue. Since you changed the rules, we're not going to stop voting.
Right.
We're still going to go out. So what we've done, what the NAACP has done, our local branch, with the IDs. Okay, they're saying you have to have. Well, we know everybody has to have a pictured ID, but now you have to have the pictured ID to send in with your absentee. Because we had so many people going in and using absentees this time. We were encouraging people. A lot of people couldn't work. A lot of people travel. Go ahead and do your absentee. And they did that. And now that they did that, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we did something wrong.
Yeah. It's like when
Yeah.
you learn the rules and you play by the rules
Right.
and you win the game,
And now they want to
then you
change the
want to
rules.
change the
Right,
rules
right,
so
right.
that it makes it more difficult for me because I've got to get caught up on the new
Yeah.
rules. And then I got to encourage old folks that it doesn't take much to discourage them
Right,
anyway.
right, right, right.
It's just a shame that people are so easily discouraged, but we know about that, and so we're going to continue working. So they changed the rules.
But we're
Go ahead.
encouraging people to go out the same way you did the last time. Okay, they said you changed the rules. So everybody has an ID. So what we'll do is make sure when you do absentee, we've already been working because we worked with people the last election and was showing them it's simple. Don't get discouraged. We still
Right,
want you to get out and vote.
right.
So we went in and was telling them, go ahead, fill out the forms the way they want you to, mail them in, or take them to your Board of Elections office,
Hmm.
and and then make sure you get when you get your ballot, make sure you do everything correctly. Sign everywhere you're supposed to sign, do everything you're supposed to do, and then your vote will be counted.
Right,
And we had a
right,
lot of, and then we were telling them how you can go online to check and see if your vote, when you did your absentee, you can go online and check and see when they received your
right.
application form, when it was mailed out to you, and when your form was mailed back
Hmm.
into the
Hmm.
office.
And if you feel nervous about it or unsure about it,
Hmm.
the NAACP is available.
Right,
We at Bibb County Voters League are available.
right.
You can call either one of us,
Hmm.
and we will help you and walk you
Walk
through
you through it.
that whole process
Hmm.
and make sure we're even over at L High School Academy. We will make folks'
ID.
IDs, make
Yes.
pictures, copies of your IDs any days that we're open.
And
So you can stop by
right.
there. And then the NAACP has had a number of activities
Right.
where they've had their portable copiers
Yes.
and they have them there. They bring them into the neighborhood, and you can just come by and get
Yeah.
copies of your ID
And yeah,
made.
right. And then you
Hmm.
can attach it to your absentee ballot request so you can get your absentee ballot. We're still
Hmm.
encouraging people use your absentees.
Yeah,
If you're not using the absentee, vote early. This
right,
is what we
right,
want people to
right.
do. That way you can get out and our votes are still counted.
That's
And we
right,
really encourage people to go and vote early. If
right,
you vote early, then that way, if there's a problem, if there's something happen, you have a chance to fix it
right,
before, that
right.
way you'll be able, your vote can be
Right.
cast.
But and also we are available. We
Right,
keep saying we are available
right.
to assist you in whatever way that we can. The
Hmm.
whole idea is for you to get
Right,
discouraged
right.
and for you to look and say, well, all of these laws are being put in place. And I would say you're not going to stop me from
Right,
voting.
right.
I don't care what you do. You are not going to stop me from voting. And I know it gets to be a lot of people say, well, we just hear this all the time that there are people who bled and died
Hmm.
for the right to
To vote.
vote because everybody couldn't. It hasn't always been a
Able to
fact that
vote.
everybody could vote. Everybody hadn't been able to vote. First, it was white men
Right,
with property
right,
that could vote.
right,
Then it was white men and then white women.
right.
And then black
Black women.
men. It really wasn't intended for black women or white women
Hmm.
to vote.
Right.
So white women that sit up and talk about and vote Republican too, they were after y'all too. They
Hmm.
didn't want y'all to
Correct,
vote
correct.
either. So
Hmm.
for the longest time, they had groups of women who even got beaten, and
Right,
they connected with black suffragettes
right,
was what they were called. Suffrage is just another name for voting.
right.
Suffrage is just another name for voting. But these women worked together. And then after the right to vote was extended to women, it was intended for white women,
Right, right.
not black
Black women.
women.
Black women.
And so the fight went on, and black women said, "Oh, no, you're not going to leave me out." And I fought and gotten beaten up and gone to jail and stuff with you. And then you get to vote, white women, and we don't get, now you know. You know.
Well, see, if the voting wasn't so important, if it wasn't so important, why are they trying to keep us from voting?
Right.
So it's a very important thing. People are like,
That's
oh no,
right.
my vote doesn't count. Yes, your vote does count. I
If
mean,
you don't vote, it
think
doesn't
about
count.
the man in Virginia that won. He won by one vote.
Uh-huh.
And so every vote counts.
Everyone.
Everybody
And
needs to get out and
yours
vote.
could
And
be the one that makes
a
that
difference.
difference.
Right,
Yours
right,
could be
right.
that one vote
Right.
that makes a difference. We have a race over in Warner Robins for mayor. Black female who is running. She is in a runoff with Mayor Tom in Warner Robins. And there was not a lot of difference between the votes that she and the incumbent mayor got. She, I believe, got 43%. He got 44%, but that was just a 1 point difference. The voter turnout was low,
right?
But it doesn't have to be low,
right?
And people can go ahead and start getting ready to vote either absentee or
correct
or vote early. Oh, we got Senator. We got the collard green and rutabaga man, yeah, to join us, and that is great. He's just coming back from the session, the redistricting session in Atlanta, and we're glad that he came on in, and our engineers are getting him right on in. That's great. Maria, tell us now, that's with the absentee. That's one of the changes.
Right.
You do have to have a picture ID that you include when you send.
Or you can include your driver's license number.
Okay.
Your driver's license, because we did that with some people, and they included their driver's license number.
Okay.
And they didn't have any problems at all.
Okay.
And the other thing is, you can't take. We were able to take a person's request in, but now you can't do that. There has to be a family member, and then only a family member can take in your actual ballot. You're not able to do that.
Okay, now family member is
husband, wife, children's
mom, dad.
Mom.
So the whole thing is intended to make it more difficult for you to put one more impediment in your way. But what you've got to say is, nobody's going to stop me from voting.
And you have to go in the building. It used to be the drop-offs was outside. Now you have to take it in physically. So that's a deterrent to some people, because it may be a person in a wheelchair.
Right.
And they've got to get out and they've got to go in there. And we want to make sure, that's why we tell people vote early.
Vote early.
You can
go
vote early. Then we don't have that problem. But there are a lot of people that want to vote on election day, and that's fine. But if you vote on election day, make sure you go early, and make sure you're there. Make sure you have your proper ID. That's the other thing. There's several forms of ID you can use now. If you are a student at one of the state schools, has to be a state school, not a private school, you can use your student ID to vote. So, we were letting people know that.
Right.
And
there's so much, and it's a shame that, like you say, when we learn the rules of the game and we play them well, and then we elect a president and we elect 2 Democratic senators, and we have to make note now the fact that the NAACP is nonpartisan.
Right.
What I'm saying that is partisan is me saying it. not Maria,
Our
because
goal
she's
is to make
not.
sure people go out and
That's
vote.
exactly
We're
right.
trying. That's what we want people to do.
That's
Go out
right.
and vote. Exercise your right to vote.
That's right. That's
Don't sit
right.
at home and sit there.
That's
Exercise
right.
your right to vote.
You have great power,
Right.
because, like, as you said, they would not be trying to keep you from
For voting.
voting
If
if it
wasn't
were not important.
Right.
So it is important. We want to thank Carol Spain. Carol says, 45 helped them by stopping the census before it was finished, and he did discourage the numbers. So even the census, even the numbers that the redistricting groups are working with, those numbers are wrong. They didn't count all of the people
Right.
of color. Um, and so, and T. LaVar Taylor sends greetings to us, and we're proud that there's someone from Conyers who's listening in. The others, we'd like to see your comments, and we will share those with our listeners on radio. Senator, since you were able to make it, we're just real happy to see you. What's this with the collard greens and the rutabagas?
Well, you have a chairman of the committee and the vice chairman, and they basically conjured up these new lines not to consider people of color. Georgia had over 1 million new residents,
That's right. Fast growing state.
but they were persons of color.
Right.
And what we say is the state needs to show that and be represented that way. My comments were based on how they redrew the 26. Even though the 26 needed 29,171 folks, it was short. But what they did, they took the portion of Jones County, which has 18,000 residents and 3,600 black voters in that group. And then, of course, they took one of the larger black precincts in Macon, which was East Macon 3, and they put it into the 25th senatorial district.
Across from Northeast High School.
Across from Northeast High School. Well, that was one of my precincts. And since I'm short of population, why would you take those 4,900 folks and put in the 25th?
Right. Leave them there and add some more from
right.
somewhere else.
And the problem with all of it is that those folks of color in the 26 had a chance to elect someone that looked like them or someone they wanted to elect. Period. Now they are part of a district demographically doesn't give them basically any voice whatsoever other than voting. And so, when you look at these things, the district itself is like 60.1% black vote. But you have to realize in the vote,
voting age population.
That's right. They're not on the books. But then you got the prison system down in Washington County. Where they gonna vote at? They not voting, but they part of the vote. So you got them. Then not only that, they put in a Johnson County, Wrightsville, Georgia.
Yeah.
That has 3,500 white voters, 1,700 black voters. And then they put 506 in that has 1,647 white voters, 954 black voters. And then they gave me 34,000 folks out of Houston County with less than 40% of them don't even meet VAP. That means they are not of the age 18 to be registered where you can get them on the books. So don't tell me that your district black. Yeah, it sure is when you look at your pencil putting it in there. But when you take the prisoners out, that's part of that VAP. When you put everything going on, there's a problem. And the problem came because they say they wanted communities to stay whole. We didn't have all these splits with the lines and stuff. You split the line to put another senator in Macon.
Right.
We didn't need another senator. You split the line up in Henry County because Henry County had gone, their population had picked up so fast that they were like 48, 49% of the population. And the guy who represented Henry County, who almost lost last time, they protected him and basically took put 32% of Henry County in his district, and then went across lines and drew lines like Morgan County and all that in order for him to have a district that they couldn't defeat him in. So I'd say it's sausage making, but the problem with the sausage that they made for me was jalapeno. They had a little tang to it, and then the vice chairman, I want collard greens, corn, Vidalia onions, black eyed peas, and he don't want to sell me some rutabagas and watermelon. Mm-hmm. So basically, what I'm saying is, it's all conjured. They did what they wanted to do. They drew the lines the way that they wanted to draw the lines. They drew the lines to protect their members so that they can keep control in the Georgia General Assembly. And of course, we gonna question and we gonna challenge it.
Okay. There are some groups that are working as we speak to get people to sign on as plaintiffs. I will be signing on as a plaintiff. When they called me, I said, absolutely, I will be glad to sign on as one of the ones stating that I don't want my District 26 reduced in this way. I don't care if you say you've got a majority Black population. You have set this district up where it could easily be a leans Republican district, and the end effect is that you reduce Black voting strength. You place Black folks in districts where they have no communities of where there are interests, like interest. You take the white voters and then you crowd them in so that they can impact the election or who will be elected in that particular district. So it's a serious problem. And then, like I said earlier, they are peeing on you and then telling you that it's raining. That's exactly what the Republicans are doing. They're saying, oh, it's still majority Black, but as the senator says, you put exactly.
Are they voting?
Exactly.
That's the problem we're looking at.
And are they of the age to vote?
We pulled up some numbers around the counties, and we were looking at the problem we have is the 18 to 39-year-olds. I mean, it was like 8%, 9% in certain groups, but then in your seniors, it's 36 to 40% where these people are voting. So how many of these 18-year-olds and between that 18, especially the 18 and 29-year-old group, they had the worst voting record.
Right.
That's so right. You've got to go out there and encourage these people and make sure people, even though they're giving you, are these people eligible to vote? Are they voting? So, we got to work on getting as many people out there who are eligible to vote and encourage them to vote.
Well, that's what Senate Bill 202 did, is to suppress, just like you were talking about elderly folks and carrying that ballot. They got to go inside to hand, an absentee ballot. A family member has to do it for them. What about these folks who have no family members, but folks in the community see about them and help them with everything that they do? What about them?
Yeah.
That is a restriction. So therefore you put a restriction on these folks and make it harder for them to vote.
That's true.
You used to could take your light bill or your telephone bill and use it as your ID when you were voting. They've come up and changed all these things, but what it's all about is they did not get the result they wanted in Georgia. We elected 2 United States senators, and Biden won the state of Georgia. So Georgia really is a majority state.
Correct.
And that's what folks don't want to deal with. We were told that 8 years ago at the University of Georgia that Georgia was trending Black, trending minority populations, which is majority now, with the influx of, what did you say, a million new citizens into Georgia, mainly in
the metropolitan areas.
Right.
And those are the areas that have been sliced and diced up and spread out to dilute Black voting strength.
Right.
All of the Black families that have moved into Henry County, all of the Black families that are in the Atlanta area with the film industry and the recording industry and all of that, those folks that are moving in are not whites. Those are non-whites. Those are people of color. In the Savannah area, in the Columbus area, and of course in Macon Bibb. These areas are solidly Black and Democratic. They
Right.
vote Democratic.
But that's the reason they added the
So-
third senator, so Republicans can dictate what goes on in Bibb County.
You're right. That's right. That's right. That's exactly what.
But I just wanted to let the folks know who are listening in Jones County and East Macon 3. The way the map is drawn, you are no longer in District 26.
Well, if it's approved, if they have been approved by the committee and also by
Well,
the legislature.
They were voted on yesterday, and the legislature, the Senate passed the Senate state map,
Mhm.
and the House today passed the House state map. So they'll be coming across. The problem is they pass. The governor's gonna sign them. Then we're gonna have to try to go to court. Not try. We're going to court to challenge the way that they drew these districts, because they were steadily trying to protect Republicans who were losing. Districts had trended and were Democratic performing, and they've cut the lines and cut up counties and stuff to help them, but they didn't want to leave Jones County in the 26.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And which makes no sense at all until you understand that the whole goal was to keep Republicans in power. That is the entire goal, and to try and help Trump if he decides to run again, which it looks like that's what he is attempting to do.
Well, I hope he'll be in jail by then.
I do hope so as well.
So they're gerrymandering their way.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
Right.
When you hear gerrymander, you know that is not a positive term. It is a negative term. And
Correct.
the way that it's used, it's when you take Black population and you cram it into an area where it has no impact or doesn't have the ability to have any kind of influence in that area. You break up areas of color where people have common interest, community interest. You pull them apart. All of these things are part of gerrymandering. They are wrong. And as I said, I've signed on, will be signing on as a plaintiff. If there are others now who wish to sign on, if you will give me a call, I will be glad to put you in contact with the agency, the organization of folks that's working to get plaintiffs to sue these folks who are trying to take away our voting rights and ultimately take away all of our rights, because Republicans do not take care of anybody but their own.
Well, it's just like the Supreme Court, its rulings. It is the Supreme Court is majority Republican, and their latest ruling basically backed what Trump was saying, that the election was stolen. It was fraud in the election.
Mm-hmm.
And see, part of even drawing these things under Section 5, under the Voting Rights Act section, it says that you cannot take a district of a protected group and you make it worse than what it was prior to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did that with the 26. We were at 60.1. Now I'm at 56. According to their figures. Well, you then I got less than 40% of the 34,000 are not VAP. They're not able to reach VAP. So
Voting
that means
age.
that they're not a voting age. then you got to take out the prisoners. They part of the VAP. You got to take they are not voting. So it's a convoluted kind of way of saying yes, majority black, but
But the
But you have
does
people
not.
impact,
that can't vote.
Yeah.
exactly,
Right.
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
And so that's the reason my statement to them yesterday was sausage making and the vegetable man.
Right.
In other words, the vegetable man gonna give you what he want to give you rather than what you asking for. And the sausage maker, he mix up all the sausage, but then he adds a ting to it, a tang, and make it jalapeno.
Right.
And then do what he gonna do. But just like I said, it is what it is. They want to talk about 2002. I was back there in 2002 when the plan that we did was a rule not justifiable. But that's 20 years ago. We talking about today.
Right.
Where are we today? Lot of the folks in the legislature weren't there 20 years ago. So, what they're saying is, I'm here now. What about now?
Right.
Let's don't go back to
Right.
20 years and read us the articles from 20 years ago. Y'all are mixing up the sausage right now. And y'all trying to tell us what happened 20 years ago rather than to tell us how you going to make the sausage right for those folks.
Well, we have got to take them to court. We have got to take them to court. But it surely would help if our Congress would go ahead and pass the voting rights laws. There are two of them
Right.
that are being considered, but that should have been the first two pieces of legislation that our Congress should have passed. And while we have a Democrat as president, we have a Democratic control of the House and the Senate. It seems like whatever we had to do, getting rid of filibuster or whatever else and get those laws in place, because unless they have the voting rights of those of us who vote Democratic, unless those are protected, then there's a chance that they will be voted out of office, that the suppression will create such a hardship, which it is intended to do, that will end up not being able to keep them in office. Maybe it's just my way of I think that my way of thinking makes sense. And what they're doing with infrastructure and all these other things are wonderful, but you got to be there to get those things done.
Accomplished.
And if the law keeps you from having folks to freely vote and keep you there, then I mean, how are you going to get the
That's
other
true.
things
That's true.
done?
That's true.
And it's clear the Republicans are saying, we're not going to do anything that's for people. The only folks that we are concerned about are business people, billionaires, millionaires, all of those folks. They fail to realize that there are lots of white folks who are not billionaires, millionaires, big business people. But once whites who are in these categories realize, it may be too late, when they finally realize that they're being victimized as well, because these rich Republicans don't care about them either. And so it's in their best interest to keep us separated, to have us fighting against each other on racial lines, when we should look at the economics of this thing and understand that we're all in the same boat, and we need to be supporting each other, along with the Asians, the Native Americans, all of those.
What did you see on the news
misrepresented
earlier
groups.
this morning? That the Republicans, congressman in the House that voted for the plan on the infrastructure was threatened.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that the Republicans are doing to each other. If you step out of line and you don't vote the way that they think you're supposed to, they attack you. You get attacked, and so
But they were attacked by Trump. Trump attacked them because they voted for
He
the
set the
infrastructure plan.
stage. The best thing for this country, for this world, is for Donald Trump to go to jail forever. And maybe we could have some peace, and maybe people could get along, and we move back to a world where we're trying to at least accept each other as human
Get
beings,
along with each other. Right,
get
right.
along and save this planet,
Treat
because
each other as
we're
human beings.
just a few
Right.
years from destroying this planet with our pollution and all these other things. And Republicans are not going to handle that. They dismiss climate change and all of that. They say it doesn't exist. This president let 700 plus thousand people die of COVID, and still is not wholeheartedly embracing.
Correct.
Now, he went and got his vaccinations.
Mhm.
He and Melania and what's the boy's name? Barron. All of
Yeah.
them got their vaccines secretly. They got protected. And he went in the hospital and had the very best of care. But he didn't care about folks. So 750,000 of our folks in this country died of COVID, and they're still dying.
Correct.
And he's still saying that, oh, it was just a little, it's going to be just like the flu.
Yeah.
And by such and such a time, it'll be gone. When are we going to wake up? And when are whites going to wake up and realize that they're in the crosshairs too? These folks don't care about you if you are poor, if you're a person of color, if you're a teacher, if you're a child, if you're elderly. Republicans don't care. Otherwise, they would not be drawing these lines, cutting them all up to keep themselves in control and keep you out of control, where you can vote and elect the folks that you want.
Right.
To look out for your best interest.
Right.
And right now, that's the Democrats, but they don't seem like they want to stay in office. They don't seem like. So what do we do about this? As far as the voting, tell us some of the remedies that NAACP and others are coming up with to help with this voting situation.
I mean, what we're doing is we're starting in January, because the next election is May. So we're trying to get our people prepared before then. Mm-hmm. So, if you move, let's get that address changed. Whatever, let's get it done, so we won't be on election day or coming up to election day saying, oh, I'm not able to vote. I mean, for people who are voting in May, April the 25th, it's the last day you can register to vote for that election. We need to make sure our people are registered. And let's encourage them, encourage people, encourage your family members. We've gone out into the churches asking the pastors to encourage their members to go out and vote. We're not telling them who to vote for, but we're encouraging them. You need to get your people out, because the churches is the one that led the fight when we did voter registration years ago. That's right. So we've got to get back in there. We've got to get them to encourage their members, because we're doing that, encouraging people. Let's get out and go vote. Let's get your IDs. You have your IDs. You have to have an ID anyway. You need to have, I always tell the kids, y'all have to have an ID when y'all running around here anyway. Right. You need to have your ID. So that's no problem. The problem is when you get with your seniors and making sure they have the ID. Because a lot of those people, there's nothing wrong with their minds.
Right.
They're just elderly. They may be bedridden or whatever. But they have great minds. They can vote. So, you can't say because of their age, they're not able to. Those people are able to vote, but we also need to get those 18-year-olds, the ones that are 17 and a half to 18-year-olds, and 18 to 29. That was when we pulled up about 4 or 5 counties. It was like 8%. That was all their voting was 8%. And that's 18. And those are the ones that need the job. Those are the ones that all of these new laws are affecting them more than they're affecting the rest of us. But that's why we've got to encourage them, encourage your family members. I know ours, we do. We encourage all of y'all have to go vote.
But
y'all got to register.
I bet you a bunch of these young folks today vote got a pistol tote permit.
Well, I
Well,
would not doubt it, because it looks like everybody
They
and
got
their
a pistol
mama
tote.
got one or two.
You see them come in the convenience store with the gun hanging off the hip or in their pocket. I stopped one guy at a convenience store. I said, hey, man, you don't look like you more than 17. He said, man, I'm 22 years old.
mm-hmm.
I said, that's a mighty big gun you got. He said, I got to permit the wear to it and pull it out of his pocket.
Mm.
Then I asked him, well, what about you? You got a voter registration card? All right.
Oh, see.
So right now, you finna start an argument with a guy that got a gun, that's got to permit to carry the gun, but he doesn't have a voter registration card.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we got to realize too, that in 202, if you go to the wrong polling place, it won't be a provisional ballot for you.
Right.
Provisional ballots is after 5 o'clock.
After 5
You
o'clock.
can use a provisional ballot. Other than that,
At
you
the
have
wrong
to at the wrong precinct. But other than that, you need to. That's why it's so important. We encourage everybody, make sure your address is correct. That way you can vote where you're supposed to. And then see when they send you across town, oh no, that's too far for me to go. Well, unless it's at 5 o'clock is when you can do a provisional ballot. So the rest at 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you need to go to your precinct to vote. The right precinct to vote. And and try to, even some people go to the wrong precinct. When I did work there, I told people, we encourage people to go to their correct precinct. And what they don't realize is if you vote outside of your precinct, you're not getting to vote for the people that you want to vote for. Like if Senator Lucas, if they're in the 26th and they're trying to vote in another precinct, his name is not going to be on the ballot.
Right.
So then you're upset. You're saying, well, they're not suppressing your vote. It's because you went to the wrong precinct. So whatever address you have now, that's what they're going to let you vote under. So you can't just go in there and say, well, I want to vote for her and this is where I live. But if you didn't change that, whatever's on that ID,
right,
that's the ballot that you're getting, that you're allowed to vote. So you can't get upset with them if they don't allow, if that person is not on that ballot.
Maria, you're doing this stuff on a daily basis. What about absentee ballots? Now, who can get a absentee ballot, say for an elderly person? Who can get it?
Well, what we do is we work with them to help them walk through it. They can get their own ballots, but now if someone helps them, then you have to sign that you are assisting them in getting that ballot.
Okay.
You sign that you're assisting them, but they can still get their ballots and then they can still do their own. But if you go in and help someone, then you just need to sign your name that you assisted them to get their ballot and make sure it's mailed in and everything is done properly.
What about voter registration? Being able to have voter registration drives at the churches and stuff where you sign folks up now. What restrictions are there on that?
Well, we've done voter registration drives and we just, provide the application for them to do to fill out their forms. And then they can turn them in we encourage people to turn them in at your voting precinct rather than put them in the mail, because the mail is so long. It takes our mail a long time because we found out that our mailing for Bibb County, our distribution center is out of Jacksonville. So what we encourage people to do, take your ballot, take your voter registration card, take it to the application form. Once you fill it out, take it up to the Board of Elections. And then make sure, now they're going to send you a card. When you get that card, please read your card so you'll know where you're supposed to vote and who you're supposed to vote for.
And if there is a question, if you have a question, if you're in doubt, don't remain in doubt. Contact Maria with the NAACP. Call the Board of Elections, 621-6622.
Right.
621-6622. And ask them whatever it is that you want to ask them about your voting status or whatever
they
else.
will have it there.
Right.
Yeah.
You can call EL High School, 257 6767. You can call us anytime. We will be glad to assist you. You can stop by.
Right.
We have people to stop by in the Northeast Plaza Shopping Center. NAACP has an office off of Main Street.
Right.
On the east side. So you have all of these different places that you can go to. But the quickest thing is to go to the Board of Elections
right.
At, what is it,
2525 Pine
Avenue. Now,
and all you have to do is ask them, go in with your ID and they can pull up the information for you to make sure your information is correct. So then once that's done, then you'll find, and like I said, when you get your voting card, look at it so you'll know to go to the proper precinct.
Right. The main thing is don't let anybody take
Stop
your voting
Right.
rights away from you.
Right.
And if you are one who wants to sign on as a plaintiff, as a part of the lawsuit against the state of Georgia and its discriminatory, gerrymandered redrawing of the lines. And remember now, we've got to redraw the lines for county commissioners.
Right.
And it's my understanding that the state legislators, Republican majority, will be redrawing our lines. So my question at commission meeting was, when are we going to have some input? We, meaning local commissioners, going to have some input into the redrawing of our lines. It's like we don't even exist. We're just sitting there. And nobody's asked us about setting up a committee to start looking at redrawing these lines so that they more fairly represent sections of Macon-Bibb County.
Correct.
And Macon-Bibb has a majority Black population.
Right.
Last I heard, we're 57% of the population.
Correct.
So are we going to redraw these lines right locally? Well, they didn't do it on the state level. They're not doing. Oh, by the way, Sanford Bishop is in danger too. I hear the music. It sounds like we're about.
You got to make an announcement real quick.
Yes, please make your
the
announcement.
The Macon-Bibb NAACP will be providing veterans lunches tomorrow at the Greater Little Rock Baptist Church on Felton Avenue. It's drive-through. Come through and pick up your lunch. And it's for the veterans from 12 to 3 o'clock tomorrow. So veterans come by and, we have a great lunch prepared for you. We have chicken, ham, collards, mac and cheese.
All right, I'll be a veteran tomorrow. Look, we'll see you again next Wednesday for another edition of Ask Elaine. We'll continue this conversation, but do your part. Do your part. Thank you. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, thanking you for tuning in this week. And we'll see you again next Wednesday for another edition of Ask Elaine.
And look forward to seeing you at the Veterans Luncheon tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I thought you had another one on our show.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.